It is my great pleasure to formally introduce the new head coach of the Florida Gators, Billy Napier.
Scared money don't make money, you know.
We've got a goal here to play a brand of football that creates a great sense of pride. It takes 11 people doing their job. We get to decide our future.
Hey there, Gator fans. Welcome to Building Back the Gators. We are having a ball bringing this to you. It's hard to believe we're in August. We're about a month away from the start of the regular season. I want to thank our sponsor, the personal injury law firm of Harrell Harrell, Holt and Julie. Such fantastic people. I've known them since high school. Jacksonville people through and through, a Jacksonville firm through and through. You couldn't be in better hands. They're going to take good care of you. Big enough to take on anybody, small enough that they're going to know who you are, and they're going to build that relationship with you. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harrell Harrell at 251-1111. Well, we've got an exciting episode today. The Gators have been sizzling hot on the recruiting trail, coming off of Friday Night Lights, and I want to talk to somebody who was down there covering it, somebody who has really done an outstanding job distinguishing himself covering the Gators, and that's David Waters, who does such a great job on Gators Breakdown, his podcast. Here is our interview with David Waters. All right, we are so pleased to be joined with David Waters, who does such an incredible job with his Gators Breakdown podcast. Gator fans, if you aren't, I know you are, but if you're not listening to this, you've got to find it. Again, David does such a great job, and he is so if something happens, man, there's something up from Gators Breakdown. It's fantastic, and I know he's developed an amazing following. David, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Hayes.
Well, let's just jump right into it, man. I know I'm a lifelong Gator. I know you are as well. I really think that we've got something here in Billy Napier, David. What are your initial thoughts on Billy and the job that he's done to this point?
Hayes, I do lean that way too, and I felt that way before kind of getting ingrained a little bit before Friday Night Lights. The camp that was last week, and then just being around it, being around the staff, being around some people who are even a little bit closer to the staff than I am, but having conversations with the staff, having conversations with those people, you really see there is a plan behind the scenes. And I've heard about it, but then being able to see it firsthand, getting closer and closer to it as we get a reputation with the staff, and who can they trust with information? Who can they trust media-wise, even deeper than that, if you want to go there too.
Sure.
And I think you can really see that there's a plan in place, and they care about what they're doing. They care about the players. They care about each other. They built this army of staff to feel that same way as well. So when you see it in action, like I got to see it at Friday Night Lights, you really that belief that you have, it really gets stamped home when you see it that close in person.
David, what were some things that stood out to you from your tremendous coverage of Friday Night Lights?
Yeah, one thing is the relationship between, recruiting is always a hot topic, and it got maybe downtrodden a little too early, but, heading into these summer months, it picked up a little bit. And then you could kind of feel that energy. Florida got a slew of commitments around the end of July and around Friday Night Lights, but you could kind of feel that energy bleed over into Friday Night Lights. And there was just a lot of recruits that were there and their relationship with the staff, but also I kind of noticed it was a lot of the parents and parents of the recruits as well, calling out the coaches and hollering at them as far as to tell them, hey, and make sure they interacted with the coaches and the coaches. I remember Jay Bateman was the linebacker coach for Florida. As soon as Friday Night Lights is over, he walks right by me and he goes to sit down in the stands with a player and his family and has like a 10-minute conversation right there in the stands. There's hundreds of people around them, but he wants to make that interaction and get that feel of the family, let the family get the feel of him. It was just those little things that I kept picking up on of just kind of the interaction between the parents, the recruits, and to the coaches themselves. And, talking to some people there, it's like that might be the top aspect of this coaching staff in the recruiting world is how the parents feel about them.
Yeah, no question about it. And this is jumping way ahead, but that also pays dividends. Look, they're only going to get 12% of the guys they go after. You know, something if they get 12%, they're doing really well, particularly when their funnel is as full as it is with blue chip prospects, because it's as full as it's ever been, I think, probably since Urban was there. And I want to get your thoughts on that. But again, not to jump ahead too far, but those relationships are also so crucial because the majority of these prospects are going to go somewhere else, even if you have an outstanding class. But a lot of them you're going to have another chance because a lot of these guys, as we see, are going to utilize that portal. And so that's another area where I think the way Billy Napier goes about it, it's not just being strong in recruiting, but also being able, when these guys do go to another school for a year and then maybe want to look elsewhere, having that prior relationship is going to, I think, really help Florida as well be one of the stronger teams in the portal.
Yeah, I do think Florida can maybe get rebounds in the portal from maybe guys they do miss out on. But, hey, I'll take that even further, too. Even some of the current players. I mean, you go back to spring practice, and we were hearing, hey, Florida's going to be very active in the transfer portal. We expect a lot of transfer from this Florida team. Not that many guys transferred. Yeah. And I do think that might have something to do with what Billy Napier is building. These players see that, and it is a whole different culture than what they came in with Dan Mullet. And I think they want to stick around. And I think that may have caught some people by surprise, maybe even the coaching staff by surprise a bit, of how many kids that wanted to stick around the program. Is it tough? Is it hard? Yeah, but I do think they see the method to the madness. To probably put it that way, of those guys wanting to stick with Billy Napier and this team. So I remember hearing 3, 4, 5 names that there's no way those guys would be on the team after spring, and I think only one of those guys ended up transferring. So it's I do think the culture is going to go a long way. And look, I know that's a very popular saying when there's a coaching change. It always is. But there's a reason a change needs to be made. There is a different culture there, and we'll see how it pays off for Florida. But you can see the foundation being built, and I do think it will pay off down the road. Whether it be guys sticking with this team for a while and not hit the transfer portal, and maybe down the road as well, guys who went somewhere else that maybe had Florida second or third in their recruitment, but seeing how things are being built and may come back around.
Yeah, and that's a great point about the lack of attrition coming out of spring ball. And, and again, I just can't believe, David, how in such a short amount of time, Florida has gone from being a program that blue chips, the really high-level blue chips, really never even considered, didn't really visit, didn't seem like were a big priority, and Florida got to a point where it felt like it under Mullen that they were rarely even a hat on the table for an elite prospect. And Napier has just, it's just night and day. It feels like almost every blue chip prospect in the Southeast is at least giving Florida a chance. And again, we know he's not going to get everybody. He's not going to get close to everybody. No, Nick Saban and Kirby Smart don't get close to everybody. But if he can hit at a high enough batting average, they're going to have an outstanding class. And I think now you're starting to, see some of the benefits of that. But have you been at all surprised, or what are your thoughts on the job Billy Napier and his staff have done of at least getting these 4 stars and 5 stars to come to campus and give them a chance?
Yeah, hey, going back to one of your points, you miss the recruiting a lot more than you hit. You sign about 25 kids a class, when there's thousands of prospects out there and hundreds of offers go out. So, yeah, you miss a lot more than you hit. And, hey, I do think a lot of it, if you want to go back and look at it, we got to remember, Billy Napier came from Louisiana and the Sun Belt. His reputation of being in the SEC dates back to Alabama, and that was, 6, 7, 8 years ago. So it's been a while since he's been around prospects at this level. He wasn't recruiting the state of Florida at Louisiana. He wasn't recruiting 4 stars and 5 stars at Louisiana. So he was basically working from the ground level. He was working from zero and creating these relationships with the state of Florida prospects and the 4 and 5 stars around the Southeast and in the state of Florida. And that takes time. I know we all want it to be fast, and we all want instant reaction, instant fix here. But it wasn't going to be that. I know a lot of people want to put a barometer or where teams rank at the end of recruiting rankings and stuff. But to ask Billy Napier to come in and within a year go out recruit Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and Jimbo Fisher and Lincoln Riley at USC and the Mario Cristobal, a great recruiter going to Miami, to kind of put that expectation, I thought was a little too much. Now, Florida should always recruit top 10-ish range just because you're at Florida, but to go to that top 5 range was a little too far. But I do think now we're seeing as these summer months go on, and there's been months and months of relationship building, we're starting to see it pay off. And I know a lot of people want to point to the bump class and the instant success it brings you in the SEC. Well, there's a lot of factors now. There's NIL and there's transfer portal. We might have to reset the timeline a little bit and give Billy Napier a little bit more time to recruit, get these relationships that he's had to build from the ground level. And maybe that pays off in that 2024 class if you're looking for that elite, top 3, top 5 class.
Yeah, those are great points. And David, I know you're in the trenches when it comes to recruiting. The Gators are sizzling right now. Do you anticipate there being more additions, coming up before we get into the school year? Where do you kind of see things headed with this recruiting class for Florida?
Hey, I do. I think it continues for the Gators in the next, couple weeks here. Kind of maybe some of the effect of Friday Night Lights and getting players on campus one more time before the season starts, but also just hitting home one more time with these big prospects of getting caught up in what just happened, what we just saw at the end of July. Florida's, you start looking out in their national storylines and they start to catch on a little bit. Hey, Florida's found their footing in recruiting, and I think that's going to start turning a little more eyeballs towards Florida. And I do think there's some targets out there. I know we're all waiting for Kamani McLean, the big 5-star defensive back out there. I don't know when he'll make his decision, but still one, Florida's really got to hit on. That's why you went and got a coach like Corey Raymond from LSU. But you're looking for Florida to really hit that defensive line hard coming up. Kelby Collins, it looks like Florida-Alabama battle. It looks like Florida actually may be in really good shape there. Will Norman from IMG. Can Florida strike in IMG again, a place they never hit until Billy Napier came along as the head coach at Florida. And also, you start looking at Dijon Johnson, decommitted from Ohio State last week, a cornerback, top 100 cornerback that Florida's in on as well. Kind of maybe flipping at any time now if you want to start looking at another prospect that Florida can get in on. So, yeah, I don't think it's slowing down anytime for Florida. Yeah,
that's certainly exciting to hear. David, what are your expectations for the Gators this season?
Yeah. That early part of the season, you got Utah, Kentucky back to back, and we're going to learn really fast what this team is. But I'm so high on Anthony Richardson to maybe take some of the lift off of some of the perceived weaknesses on this team. Florida, for all the experience they have on offensive line, can they be a more consistent offensive line? For the other side of the ball in the defensive line in the trenches, Jervon Dexter's about the only proven player that can play middle, maybe even edge for this Florida Gator defensive line. But who else is going to step up on that defensive line? He's about the only proven playmaker Florida has right there. I think Florida's pretty experienced and talented everywhere else on the field, but in the trenches where you have to win in the SEC and where we're going to find out quickly against Utah and Kentucky where those trenches are for Florida. But I do think Anthony Richardson's going to be that special of a player, to kind of help, make up for that difference where those perceived weaknesses are. So, hey, I still got Florida second in the SEC East. I'm not a big believer in Will Levis at Kentucky. I don't think he's going to have a whole lot of success out, with Wandale Robinson gone. Tennessee's got to prove they can beat Florida before I can go that route and say they're going to be second in the East. I still think Anthony Richardson is going to be that special player at the quarterback position for Florida and is going to elevate the whole team around him.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait to watch Richardson play. And that first game, David, I mean, what a statement the Gators have a chance to make. And you got to figure there's going to be so many, prospects on campus when Utah rolls in. What an environment that's going to be. And it's fun to imagine what it'll be like if the Gators are able to get a win over the Utes and the electricity that would be in the stadium that night.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's looking forward and circling that one because, one, it's a team Florida never plays. And there's always the Urban Meyer connection with Utah as well. And, Whittingham's been there since Urban Meyer left. Same head coach that roaming those sidelines there. But, yes, a big top 10 matchup for the Gators in Billy Napier's first game. And, look, Florida will have the element of surprise a bit. I don't think I don't think a lot of people are going to know what to expect when Anthony Richardson trots out there at quarterback and know what this offense is going to look like. It's going to be different. He can open up the offense a bit more than he could at Louisiana because of the quarterback position, but he's still so deep at the running back position. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of experience up front. So I think Florida's going to have the element of surprise going in. And early on in that game, I'm throwing the kitchen sink at Utah and make them have to try and catch up when it's going to be hot and it's going to be 80, 90 degrees, even though the games at night. If you can onslaught early because of the element of surprise you have and make Utah fight back from behind, I think that sets up well for Florida. So I think these next 4 weeks as camp goes on, maybe they can pick up right where they left off in spring, and when that first game comes along, hit the ground running, gets the top 10 a point.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. David, thank you so much. David Waters, Gators Breakdown. You got to check it out, Gator fans. I know many of you are and enjoying it. And David, you do such a great job, man. Thank you so much for your time. Can't wait to see you in Gainesville and hopefully for some big Gator victories.
Sounds good. Thank you, Hayes.
All right, perfect. We really appreciate David's time, and we'll try to continue to catch up with him as the Gators, hopefully, to his prediction, continue to be really hot on the recruiting trail. That's going to do it for us. I want to thank Graham Marsh for his help, as always. We will look forward to coming back next week on another edition of Building Back the Gators. Also want to thank the personal injury law firm of Harrell Harrell. Look, they're who you want to be with, okay? They're big enough. They can take on anybody. Big insurance companies, they can do that, but they're small enough. They're a Jacksonville firm. I've known Holt and Julie Harrell since our days in high school. They're great people. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you or a loved one have been hurt, give Harrell Harrell a call at 251-1111. All right, until next week, I'm Hayes Carline. Thank you for listening and watching Building Back the Gators.